Good morning, Bonnie. How are you? Good to see you. Good to see you. Let's see if we can get everything else up and running this morning and get everybody else in here. That would be great. I don't show anything else yet up and running. Oh, there we go. Good morning, Robin. How are you? Good to see you. All right. So we have a couple people coming in. We got a lot to talk about today. So I hope people do come in today, and a lot of people, because this is some information that I think you need to know. A lot of information we're not being told as usual. Good morning, Angie Phillips Stockery. How are you? Angie, you're not married to a guy by the name of Scott Dockery, are you? Just asking. Good morning, Twin Crier. Good morning, Michael. Good to see you. How's everybody doing? Kathy McPherson, good morning. Good morning. Good morning, Loretta, over there on Clouthub. Good to see you. Okay, so let me go ahead. I'm going to read a little bit from Psalm 91, and then we will get started. For he shall give his angels charge over you to keep you in all your ways. In their hands they shall bear you up, lest you dash your foot against a stone. You shall tread upon the lion and the cobra, the young lion and the serpent you shall trample underfoot. Because he has set his love upon me, therefore I will deliver him. I will set him on high, because he has known my name. He shall call upon me, and I will answer him. I will be with him in trouble. I will deliver him and honor him. With long life, I will satisfy him and show him my salvation. Amen. I married, no, to Jeff. Okay. I went to elementary school with a guy named Scott Dockery. So I was wondering. Linda Smith, good morning. Good morning, Melanie. All right. As I said, we have a lot to talk about. Let's talk about some of the breaking news. The U.S. economy grew at 4% annual rate in the fourth quarter, thanks to President Trump, with 2020 as a whole seeing the worst decline since 1946. And what does that mean? It means that the globalists are just as happy as they can be. Good morning. How are you, Facebook user? It just tells me Facebook user doesn't tell me your name. If you want to tell me your name, that would be great, and I can call you that name. Hey, Melanie, Robin, good to see you. Good morning, Tim. So the globalists, are just dancing with glee at that. The worst decline since 1946. You can't get any better than that if you're a globalist, because your goal is to take down the country so you can go forward to the Great Reset. Daniel Diaz, good morning. This passage has been a very popular one lately. Praise God for his faithfulness. Amen. Amen. And thank God that he does have that faithfulness, because that's something that we need now more than ever. And surprise, surprise, unemployment claims have dropped to 847,000. It's absolutely amazing what happens when you open businesses back up. Who would have ever thought that would have happened? So a lot of people are no longer filing for unemployment, or at least they're not this week. Anyway, craziness as always. Gavin Newsom, according to Pastor Jack Hibbs last night, we now have over 1.3 million signatures. We need to get it up to 1.5 million by March to make sure that we have a buffer. So tell all of your California friends to sign the petition. Okay, we need to get that recall going here. Good morning, Susan. Your viewers should consider watching the new Dinesh D'Souza movie, Infidel. It was incredible, Inhofe said. Yeah, I'll have to go. I want to put that down myself. I think I... Good morning, Lynn. Good morning, Paula. Good to see you. Yeah, there's a lot of good movies out there to see. Typically not in the theaters, but in California, you can't go to the theater anyway. So just saying. All right. Now, there are two executive orders that are going to be signed today, and I'm only telling you about them because it's probably going to impact us personally. He's going to sign two orders that are designed to expand access to reproductive health and health insurance through the Affordable Care Act and Medicaid. So that should scare a couple of people. So he's going to open a special enrollment period for the Obamacare. And he's going to order federal agencies to re-examine current policies that may undermine Obamacare. And he's also requesting a review of policies that could make it more difficult for Americans to enroll in Medicaid. So I don't know exactly what that's all about, but I believe that would severely impact those people over age 65. So, it's kind of like you're taking away from one, giving to another. Good morning, Susan. Yeah, but wait till the 20,000 Disney and 50,000 oil and gas jobs are gone. Well, Wanda, we won't talk about those. Those will never be reported. Yeah, Bruce said, come on, man. Oh, no, overfund abortion. Yeah, I got an email that said sign up for, oh my gosh. Yeah, for Bee Care. I'm not even going to say the name because it makes me ill to say it. Well, they can't mandate Obamacare, Ruse said. So let me go back to where I was. Yeah, going to mandate everything else. Also, what they're trying to do is, let's see, said the Trump administration granted waivers to allow work requirements for Medicaid to 12 states, though not all have been granted and some have been blocked in lower courts. B is going to reverse course and direct federal agencies to reconsider those work requirement rules. He also asked agencies to review policies that undermine protections for people with pre-existing conditions, including the virus-related complications. Now, also, as you know, President Trump did away with the, I forget what it was called, giving Mexico City policy. He rescinded that, which basically gave federal dollars, our federal dollars, to people internationally, like Mexico, outside of the United States, right, to get an abortion, to fund them, to go and speak about abortions, why you should have them and all that type of thing. Well, they're wanting to bring that back. Hey, Ron, good morning. President Boob does what he is told. He's a political puppet, Ron said. Just to see his ugly lying face ticks me off. I no longer watch any news. Yep, I can't do it. Well, let's see. Yeah, at least they can't. Well, for now, right, Rue? Unless they pass something else even worse. So anyway, so there you go. We're going to be not only funding abortion wildly here. Wait, I hear Gracie. Hold on 1 second. Sorry. Gracie, you're late to the party. All right. So that's, again, abortion. That's going to be the new lingo, what we hear every other day, what everybody's going for. I mean, it's just like, wow, abortion. Let's everybody have one. Even if you don't need one, let's get one. If you're a man, go ahead and get an abortion. File for an exemption or file to get one. I mean, I'm exaggerating, but it's pretty pathetic and sickening. Okay. Now, let's talk about freedom of the press. Hi, baby. Freedom of the press under the First Amendment. Let me put this up here, and I'm going to bring this up for you to see. And we bring it over here. Gracie is pawing at me, so it's distracting, but it's okay. It's Gracie, so we're okay with it. Right, baby? You silly little dog. She's so cute. Okay, so freedom of the press. Breaking report. Biden team considers banning conservative media from the press briefing. Communism much? If that were President Trump trying to ban people from the press briefings, you know what would happen. We all know what would happen. He tried to have a couple people removed that were being jerks, and you saw what happened with that. And I've got Growly Gracie here, so she's going to say hi. You want to say hi? Say hi, baby. Say hi. Say hi, Growly Gracie. Facebook user said B is an idiot. Yes. New Mexico pushed through the abortion bill yesterday. Oh, Inhofe, that's horrible. Good morning, Renee. Good to see you over there on DLive. Hello, Karen. Freedom of the press, right? What? Judy said. Good day, Susan. Let's see. Did we wake up from the nightmare? No, the nightmare is just beginning. Gracie. Gracie's going to give you an up close and personal view. Okay. Look up at the camera, Gracie. Look up at the camera. Would be an empty press room. Exactly. Well, yeah. She Gracie. What are you doing? You silly dog. You silly dog. Why don't you're not looking at the camera. You're too far back. Look at the camera, baby. Look at the camera. Get your big head in the camera. There you are. There's the pretty girl. There's the pretty girl. Look at the camera. Say hi to everybody. Everybody says kisses. Kisses, kisses. Yeah, you're a good girl. Good morning, everyone. Hey, Brian. I remember the day you picked up Gracie. She's loved. Oh, yeah, I know, Jerry. We were just talking the other night about, there you go, baby. Get your little face in there. I know, but sit right here, okay? We were talking about the other night about how far she's come. She's come a long way. She gets kisses all the time. She still has her growling issue, but I don't think that's ever going away. That's just part of her personality. Wonder if he's going to put surveillance on conservative press members like O did. Well, why not, Lynn? How do you know they're not there already? Hey, Miriam. Good morning, everyone. How's little beautiful Gracie? I know she's a sweetheart. She really is. She is a very much a sweetheart. Okay, so freedom of the press. If again, that's pretty much gone. If they don't want to have people in there, then they're not going to be there. So, that's what communist does, right? Communism does that. It gets rid of freedom of speech, freedom of press, freedom of Second Amendment, all the freedoms, right? There's no such thing as freedom. It's no individual freedom, if anything. It's freedom in what is done for the group, which really isn't freedom, but you're made to think that it's freedom. That's not growling. She's talking. I know, Judy. Yeah, she's Linda said censorship. Yeah. B's pet project was to change and reshape suburbs. Ben Carson and Trump stopped it, but now with Carson out, looks like he will allow it. Yeah, Liz, because what they're going to do, and Davos talked about that. There's extreme poverty, as Davos said, because of the virus. And they want to make low income and moderate housing. And that's one of the things they're going to do, because they say there's a housing shortage and they want housing for everyone. Hey, Gary. So everybody should own a house now, no matter what. I heard whatever you post or say is recorded and goes toward your score, like CCP social score. Jerry said, yeah. Hey, Pastor Leo, keep the faith. All right, Gracie, you're going to have to get down, baby. You're going to have to jump down, okay? We as Americans are a laughing stock to the world. We sure are. We sure are. And that's what the globalists have planned forever. That's been their goal, and they've really made it. They've been pretty successful. Okay, now here, in case you want to know what's happening with the virus and maybe what's coming next with that, let me show you what the CCP has come out with. China is pushing anal virus tests. Okay, so they have decided that putting it in your nostrils and trying to, do the test there. There's been some, the tests haven't been as great as they could be. So now they're saying, let's just do a test where we, put a swab someplace else. So it said some Chinese doctors say the science is there. Recovering patients, they say, have continued to test positive through samples from the lower digestive tract days after nasal and throat swabs came back negative. So I don't know if I'm correct on this, because I'm not which they have said in the past. I've heard that if you, in that gland, that anal gland, if you put something there, it immediately goes into your bloodstream rather quickly. I don't trust what they're doing with that swab, whether they're doing it testing for a virus or putting something else there. Good morning, Sally. Good to see you. House Democrats want to remove Representative Green out of Congress for something she said when she wasn't a member of Congress. Well, of course, Brian. It's called censorship, right? I'll not type now, Judy said. Let's not, James said, right? The worst enemy to America is the government in office. We don't have to worry about the other country, Linda said. I thought you were joking. Nope, I wish I were. Bum testing, Ruth said. Now testing have mooning lanes. There you go. There you go. Cully, is that drive up mooning lanes? I mean, you just drive up, moon, and go. Get your swab and go. Only the thing overseeing health service department now from Pennsylvania would encourage that, Liz said. How ridiculous these tactics are to brainwash. Well, yeah, brainwash and get the other end too. B is signing the executive order for calling it the China virus. Oh my gosh. Replying to Jerry. Okay. So Gracie's too cute. Thank you, Ron. She is a cutie. She's a rescue that was horribly abused, but she's gotten a lot better. She still has some things left over from that abuse, of course, and probably will for forever. Yeah. So anyway, I guess you can either bend over and take it or just not take it at all, I think would be a good thing. Okay. So now let's get into other information. Climate change. All right. Climate change has taken a change and that we knew was coming, right? I don't know if we knew how severe it would be and how crazy it would become. But now we're being told that the Pentagon has declared that climate change is a national security issue. I mean, who ever thought that you would see that? They said there's little about what the Defense Department does to defend the American people that is not affected by climate change. It is a national security interest, and we must treat it as such. And he went on to talk about how much, whatever the military does, where they go, how the climate's different, and how that impacts things. It's just another excuse to bolster spending money on climate change. Melanie said, I won't let them test me nasally. I sure won't let them test me through the exit only. Hey, sissy, I do not trust any of it. Me either, Linda. None of it. Or if you're a Democrat, it's brain testing. Thank you, Rue. Waiting for Walmart to require 8 masks. Yeah. I am still wondering how that works. Don't even think about it, Lynn. You might make it come true. Climate change on purpose. Yep. How can the climate change extremists support 3 endless wars that cause massive pollution? Well, they don't care. Bill Gates still wants to cover atmosphere with metallic particles to block out the sun. Yes. Yeah, Jerry, isn't that amazing? Don't worry about those metallic particles doing anything to your system. You know that it won't. So is the Pentagon part of the swamp? Of course, must be. I heard military is not on Trump's side. Robin, there again, we heard forever, the military, trust the plan. Again, don't trust anything that you read. Go do research. Don't listen to the alphabet. Go and find out the facts. All this will help people believe in the Antichrist. Absolutely, Linda. Smart dust, Mike said. Makes me wonder. Yeah, smart dust, and with those particles that will be picking up all who knows what. Makes me wonder, man is adapted to climate since they walked the face of the earth. Are they insinuating that man is stupider than the caveman? No, what they're insinuating, Lynn, is that God didn't get it right. That God doesn't know how to control the climate. That God doesn't understand what needs to be done in order to control the climate. That man is smarter than God and man will fix what God didn't get right. That's what they're insinuating. Yep, God needs the leftist help keeping the earth safe until he kills a third of it. Yep, that's right, Rue. After that test, they will require diaper masks. Yeah, probably, Liz. John Kerry said yesterday at the White House that B's climate change plan can stop hurricanes. Of course, because you know why, Brian? Because it's almost like B is a God in and of himself. A little G, right? But a God in and of himself. He's so powerful. He can do anything. Just trust in B. Okay. We are rounding for the New World Order. Yes, we're being rounded up for the New World Order. Only Jesus saves. He is a way out of what is coming soon. And Jerry, it's not Agenda 21. It's 2030 agenda is what it is. It's 2030 agenda. Anything that threatens their agenda or power is declared an emergency. Yes. And if you threatened them in any way in their plan, then you, my friend, are a terrorist. Okay. Now, let's talk a little bit about the military that's sitting there in Washington, D.C. All right, let's go back and also know a little bit about our history. We were told yesterday that the National Guard is going to remain in D.C. until April because of possible threats of domestic terrorism, right? And this is the FBI saying, oh, we think things are coming and you should stay there. All right, let's look at some times in the past. I want to take you back to a time in 1968. In 1968, on Friday, April the 5th, President Johnson dispatched 11,850 federal troops and 1,750 D.C. Army National Guardsmen to assist the overwhelmed D.C. police force. The occupation of Washington was the largest of any American city since the Civil War. Now, obviously, and I'm not keeping account of all of it, and I don't have, the Guinness World Book of Records or whatever, whoever keeps these records. But what we saw for the inauguration and beyond has got to be the largest occupation in DC of any American city since the Civil War. So therefore, why do we need as many troops in 2021, and which started in 2020, that we had back in 1968? Now, why did we need those troops in 1968? Well, there was rioting going on beforehand, but Martin Luther King Jr. was assassinated in Memphis in April of 1968. And so Washington, D.C. basically started to burn down. And so that's when Johnson brought in 11,850 troops. Now, during the Capitol riots that we saw, 25,000 National Guard were brought in. So think about that. Double of what was brought in 1968 when there were full-on riots going on. All right. And now there were 25,000 brought in for an inauguration. Seems a little strange, right? But we've always thought it was a little strange. Michael said they want total control of us. Yep. The Black Panthers, Sally said 2030. Yeah. Notice B kept Ray in the White and the FBI. Yes, because again, Judy, he's done such a good job for the left. I mean, why not keep him? He's great. Why would you want to get rid of something that was working so great? All right. Now, this is a bulletin that came out. It was sent out yesterday at 11 a.m. Eastern. It is from the National Terrorism Advisory System. So the acting Secretary of Homeland Security has issued a National Terrorism Advisory System bulletin due to a heightened threat environment across the United States. Okay. You mean like in Portland, Seattle, places like that? Is that what we're talking about? Which the DHS believes will persist in the weeks following the successful presidential inauguration. So in other words, what they're saying is this worked so well during the inauguration that we're just going to keep these people here because we have more threats that we've heard of and more reason why we need to keep these people here. Miriam said because it's an illegitimate takeover from the D's, they've always used the military like in Venezuela. And it goes on to say that Information suggests that some ideologically motivated, I wonder who they're talking about, violent extremists, with objections to the exercise of governmental authority and the presidential transition. So, in other words, right wingers, right? Proud Boys, conservatives, Christians, Trump supporters, right? They didn't say that, but you have to read between the lines, and that's exactly what they're saying. All right, so it goes on to say, exercise of government authority in the presidential transition, as well as other perceived grievances, fooled by false narratives. Really, where did the false narratives come from, right? Right-wingers, those people believing that the election wasn't a fair election. So, as well as other perceived grievances fueled by false narratives, could continue to mobilize to incite or commit violence. And then it goes on to talk about, it goes off into some other area, right? Throughout 2020, domestic violence extremists, like Antifa that we're not talking about here, with opposing views engaged in First Amendment protected nonviolent protest activity. Okay, now we're back to talking about the conservatives and the Trump supporters, motivated by a range of issues, including anger over the vaccine restrictions. So all you people who were speaking out about the vaccine restrictions, not the vaccine itself, but the virus, I should say, the 2020 election results, and police use of force. Now, we didn't have anything to help the police before, but suddenly we're all concerned about the police. Libertarians, there you go, James. Yes, I heard in local news yesterday how dangerous right-wing terrorists are, Robin said. Yeah, and you're going to probably hear more of that as well. And DHS is concerned, the long-standing racial and ethnic tensions, including those opposed to immigration. And remember, they basically stopped building the wall so they can say, well, they're going to be people objecting to us stopping the building of the wall and all of this caravan that's coming. So we better keep all of this a militarized zone in DC, right? Away from the border, but let's just keep it there because it makes sense to do so, right? All right. So getting back over here, and then they talk about concern that these same drivers to violence will remain through early 2021. So maybe emboldened by the January 6, 2021 breach of the U.S. Capitol. So in other words, all of you people who were watching the Capitol riots, now you're going to be so emboldened, you're going to go out there and you're going to attack Washington, D.C. in the Capitol. Makes sense? No, it doesn't. But again, this is to justify militarizing D.C., show of force of the military to a free people in the United States. That's what it is. Convinced me Pence and Chris Miller was on Trump's side. Don't think so. Robin said, I think they assumed Trump people would become violent. You think, Linda? Fear is their MO. Fear. Yep. Drug gangs should be embraced for diversity. There you go, James. So Antifa's not dangerous. They are turning everything around. Of course they are. Of course they are. So, and most people won't even look at this bulletin, won't even know that it exists. And we are at the halfway point. If you would share this with people, so people can come into, share it to Twitter, if you will, Clouthub, everywhere that you possibly can. That would be great. Hold on here. Let's see. Boston C said, I'm gulag ready. Let's see. Ron said a prediction of civil war is coming. We're at a tipping point. Let's see. Ron said, what are the current members of Congress hogtied, shackled, and gagged and thrown to the bottom of the deepest ocean? A great start. Ron. Boston T said, I'm so bored with this lockdown stuff. The change of scenery would be nice. Ron said, the Dems love control, violence, and terrorism. Republicans don't riot, destroy, and burn cities. Yeah, but that's not the agenda that they're pushing, and not from now on what they're going to be pushing and making you believe that's exactly what's happening. So they're talking about homegrown violent extremists inspired by foreign terrorist groups. Threats of violence against critical infrastructure, including the electric, telecommunications, and healthcare sectors, increased in 2020, with violent extremists citing misinformation and conspiracy theories about the virus. Oh, so now the doctors that spoke out and looking at information in healthcare, those were extremists too. They were speaking out. Miriam said, good has become evil. Yes. And evil has become good. So we have all of that to contend with now. And, like if you weren't seeing it with your own eyes, you'd think I'd be making this stuff up, because how could it be any more ridiculous, right? Unless somebody made it up. So anyone, how can I help? How can you help? Well, report suspicious activity and any threats of violence, including online activity of local law enforcement, FBI, or the Fusion Center. Your choice can make a difference. Choose nonviolent ways to make your voice heard and support friends and family in doing the same. Just know, though, that if you want to protest, you're going to be watched closely. We're going to know who you are. We're going to put out information about, now they didn't say that, but this is what I'm saying I feel is coming. We'll put out information. We'll find out what you did. We'll find out what you've done in life, so that we can harm your ability to get a job in the future, maybe get you fired from the current job that you're at, or maybe prevent you from going to the school or college of your choice. Robin said, the nurse that took my blood work yesterday got the second virus jab. She was complaining to me how sick she felt. It left a huge bruise on my hand. Oh, she left a huge bruise on your hand. She wasn't in her right mind. Scared me. Oh, wow. Again, J.D. Farag, part 1 and part 2 of Decision Time. jdfarag.org. You really need to see it. Yes, become a government snitch, Jerry. And that's going to help your social score, right? If you're a good little snitch, we're just going to love you. You're going to get extra benefits, perhaps. How about giving our power grid to China? That sounds like treasonous activity. Oh, Boston Tea, that's just all in diversity and coexisting. You're just seeing it so wrong. Ron said the Dems love control, violence, and terrorism. Republicans don't riot, destroy, and burn cities. Yeah. All right. So now, how many National Guard are there right now in Washington, D.C., in the militarized zone of Washington, D.C.? Let's talk about that for a minute. Let me bring this out of skip this. There we go. Military officials say the National Guard will stay in D.C. in case any issues arise from the upcoming events. They said that there are about 5,000 National Guard troops that will stay in D.C. until mid-March. Now it's April, in response to requests and information from other agencies, including Christopher Wray at the FBI. Initially, more than 25,000 troops were sent to the nation's capital on January 13. Of the 25,000, they say about 5,000 stayed. But then I was looking down here where it says there are currently 13,000 members of the Guard in D.C., and it's going to go down to about 7,000 by the end of the week. Will it? I don't know. Do we really know how many people are there? And I know that they have a lot of states have decided to bring their people home. You help by spying on your neighbor and tell on them. Yep, that's what they want. Twitter has bird watchers on post. Jerry said, please hit the thumbs up on this show. Thank you, Sally. If you're a conservative, they will investigate you. If other, they will investigate the conservative. Justice is blind, Liz said. I honestly don't know how to pray about all this stuff. Well, Judy, let me just help you with that. Pray for God's wisdom. Pray for God's peace. Pray for God to save souls of those that would go against God's biblical principles. And then if they choose not to turn toward God and do the right thing, then you would ask God to remove those that are doing that. I watched part 2 yesterday. Ron, wasn't it eye-opening? Washington, D.C. looks like clown world to the rest of the world. Yep. Yes, it does. They are taking down the wire fences after April. Jerry, I don't know. It could be a permanent fixture because by April, they'll find another reason. Remember, Jerry, how we were only supposed to have the masks just for 2 weeks? And in California, we're going on a year. Pray for God's mercy. Exactly, Melanie. Okay, now I want to talk to you about, I don't know if you are aware of this. I want to talk to you about Section 802 of the Patriot Act. It expanded the definition of terrorism to cover domestic as opposed to international terrorism. A person engages in domestic terrorism if they do any act dangerous to human life that is a violation of the criminal laws of a state or the United States if the act appears to be intended to, listen to this, intimidate or coerce a civilian population, influence the policy of a government by intimidation or coercion. Number 3, to affect the conduct of a government by mass destruction, assassination, or kidnapping. Additionally, the acts have to occur primarily within the territorial jurisdiction of the United States, and if they do not, may be regarded as international terrorism. So let's think about that. What I just read to you basically is what they're accusing the Capitol rioters of. If you want to talk about it, it's what they're accusing President Trump of, even, because they're saying that if you coerced or hold on, let me get back to the right thing that I was at. Influence the policy of a government by intimidation or coercion, intimidate or coerce a civilian population, right? Aren't they accusing President Trump of having done that? So those words, I don't know, are constitutional. But the problem is, I don't know if we have a constitution anymore, because as we see, everything about the Constitution has now changed. And let me go a little bit further. Section 802 creates a broad, get that, remember that word, broad new crime of domestic terrorism, which is defined in Section 802 as activities that involve acts dangerous to human life that are a violation of the criminal laws of the U.S. or any state, appear to be intended to intimidate or coerce the civilian population, influence the policy of government by intimidation and coercion, or to affect the conduct of a government by mass destruction, assassination, or kidnapping. It permits investigations based on lawful First Amendment activity if that activity can be tied somehow to intelligence purposes. Do you see that? Do you see the wording in that? It's broad scope, which the Constitution is against things that are very broad. You have to be pretty specific. And then it's talking about, it allows you to go in and investigate what is free speech under the First Amendment if it's connected to this. And who decides if it's connected? The FISA court? Did anything happen because the FISA court, there were abuses in the FISA court? No. Is anything going to happen if they trample on your First Amendment rights because they say you're part of domestic terrorism? I think not. Just saying, this is what's coming. Judy said God was using Trump to hold all this back. Astounding. Wait a minute, their screen walls don't work, so why one at the White House? Sally said, yeah. Let's see. It jumped. Keeps jumping. Then preachers will be considered that. Yes. Sounds right, Miriam. Yes, I heard it at local news yesterday. How right-wing terrorists are dangerous. Convinced me. Okay, wait. Let me go all the way down here. It's good to talk about. What about the rioters in the cities destroying buildings, cars, people's livelihoods? This falls under domestic terrorism. No, Paula, that's just, free speech. With people who have been denied that privilege in the past are now being given the free speech to burn down other buildings and stuff. They do it all the time. We said then preachers will be considered that. Yeah, God was using Trump to hold all the back. Yeah. So, okay. So Congress doesn't care about the U.S. Constitution. That's right, Ron. Even though they were sworn to uphold and defend it, they really don't. Answered prayer. My 86-year-old mom didn't get the jab yesterday. Thank God, Boston Tea. Um, so there you go about what's going on. And let's see. I think oh yeah, I put that in. Okay. So that's just a little tidbit of what's going on with the U.S. Patriot Act and 802 and some of the people that are going to probably be charged with that. Now, here's something that came out. I guess it was talked about last night on Tucker Carlson. This is a person. Let me just get this back up on the screen. A person by the name of, let me get it up here. Let's see, where is it? All right. Dang it. Why do they change things right when I have everything the way I want it? Let me look this up for a second. This was, you probably saw it. Let me take it off the screen just for a minute. Let me see if I can find it. This was about a man who, by the name of Doug Mackey. Let me see if I can find it. Man, it almost looks like the whole thing has been taken down. That can't be. That is really strange. Okay, here we are. Maybe this is it. All right. Let me bring it over here. 1 second. Sorry. This isn't the same article, but it'll work. The U.S. has arrested far-right Twitter troll for 2016 election interference. Now, what is this about exactly? According to the other article that I read, he and a variety of collaborators allegedly used memes to mislead people into thinking they could cast their vote over social media and text a message in order to vote for Hillary Clinton. And some people are thinking, well, that's really bad, and they're saying this is the first time that ever used this for disinformation. The way I look at it, as if this is true, the bad thing is that you're defrauding. For one, you're defrauding the public by saying something about it's not just saying something incorrect about, oh, the sun isn't shining today when the sun's shining, but you're misleading people when it comes to serious stuff, like an election. And I could see where they would do an interference with the election with somebody who did that. Now they alleged in the other article I was reading, and I don't want to say the name because it's not here, but it's a person that was recently arrested. They claim that person was also a person that was involved in doing this. And again, I don't want to say his name. If I can find it, this person was not named in the lawsuit, but they're saying this is who the person is. Let me see if I can find it. Okay, here is one, the New York Times. Let me see if it's in here. Yeah, okay, it's in here. This is what the New York Times is saying about the people involved. So they're saying a man talking about Douglas Mackey was one of the people that they're alleging. And this is the co-conspirators that said were not named in the complaint, but known as, and that person, you've heard of that person. So again, these are allegations. That doesn't mean that person, let me bring it up for you to see, doesn't mean that person was guilty of anything, but that's who they're claiming the co-conspirator is. And this was with Douglas Mackey, who was supposedly coordinating memes on Twitter to falsely claim that Hillary Clinton supporters could vote by sending a text message to a specific phone number. And I know it's bad to be arresting somebody for something that they were doing on social media, But again, it's also defrauding people and could be, I think, part of an interference with an election. Yeah, well, I know, Jerry. How stupid can you be to cast votes by memes or a text message? Well, but how stupid is it to do a mail-in uh, voting when you really didn't need to, right? And which caused all the problems it did. I've noticed Joe is wearing a lot of purple ties. Color revolution, Jerry said. All right, so we've got some more to talk about. I'm going to have to leave that until tomorrow because once again, somehow we got here very quickly at this time period. I don't know how we get here so fast, but we really seem to. All right, so I'm going to put this up on the screen now so that we can all, hey, Monique, good to see you. Wanted to say that maybe all of this tattletelling going on will include tattling on Antifa and the mob. Would be great if that were true, but I'm sure it's not. Well, even if you tattletaled on Antifa, doesn't mean anybody's going to do anything about it, Monique. And that's the problem. Been watching on my cell phone, but couldn't comment. Okay. All right, Monique, it's good to see you. All right. Now let's go to, we were in Daniel chapter 4. I think we left off down here on chapter 9. Verse 19, where Daniel is explaining the second dream to King Nebuchadnezzar, or let's see, was he talking to the son? Can't remember where we were. Okay, yeah, Nebuchadnezzar. All right. Then Daniel, whose name was Belteshazzar, was astonished for a moment or time, and his thoughts troubled him. So the king spoke and said, Belteshazzar, do not let the dream or its interpretation trouble you. He answered and said, my lord, may the dream concern those who hate you, and its interpretation concern your enemies. The tree that you saw, which grew and became strong, whose height reached the heavens, and which could be seen by all the earth, whose leaves were lovely and its fruit abundant, in which was food for all under the beasts of the field dwelt, and in whose branches of birds of the heaven had their home. It is you, O king, who have grown and become strong, for your greatness has grown and reaches to the heavens, and your dominion to the end of the earth. Was I on chapter 5? I can't remember. I'm probably rereading now on some of the things that I read yesterday, but don't worry, it won't hurt to do that. All right. And inasmuch as the king saw a watcher, a holy one, coming down from heaven and saying, chop down a tree and destroy it, but leave its stump and roots in the earth, bound with a band of iron and bronze and the tender grass of the field, let it be wet with the dew of the heaven, and let him graze with the beasts of the field till 7 times pass over him. This is the interpretation, O king, and this is the decree of the Most High, which has come upon my lord the king. They shall drive you from men, your dwelling shall be with the beasts of the field, and they shall make you eat grass like oxen. They shall wet you with the dew of heaven, and 7 times shall pass over you, till you know that the Most High rules in the kingdom of men, and gives it to whomever he chooses. And inasmuch as they gave the command to leave the stump and roots of the tree, your kingdom shall be assured to you after you come to know the heaven rules. Therefore, O king, let my advice be acceptable to you. Break off your sins by being righteous, and your iniquities by showing mercy to the poor. Perhaps there may be a lengthening of your prosperity. Nebuchadnezzar's humiliation. All this came upon Nebuchadnezzar at the end of the 12 months he was walking about the royal palace of Babylon. The king spoke, saying, is not this great Babylon that I have built for a royal dwelling by my mighty power and for the honor of my majesty? While the word was still in the king's mouth, the voice fell from heaven. King Nebuchadnezzar, to you it is spoken. The kingdom has departed from you, and they shall drive you from men, and your dwelling shall be with the beasts of the field. They shall make you eat grass like oxen, and 7 times shall pass over you, until you know that the Most High rules in the kingdom of men and gives it to whomever he chooses. That very hour, the word was fully fulfilled concerning Nebuchadnezzar. He was driven from men and ate grass like oxen. His body was wet with the dew of heaven, till his hair had grown like eagle's feathers and his nails like bird claws. Nebuchadnezzar praises God. And at the end of the time, I, Nebuchadnezzar, lifted my eyes to heaven, and my understanding returned to me. And I blessed the Most High and praised and honored him who lives forever. For his dominion is an everlasting dominion, and his kingdom is from generation to generation. All the inhabitants of the earth are are reputed as nothing. He does according to his will in the army of heaven and among the inhabitants of the earth. No one can restrain his hand or say to him, what have you done? At the same time, my reason returned to me, and for the glory of my kingdom, my honor and splendor returned to me. My counselors and nobles resorted to me. I was restored to my kingdom, and excellent majesty was added to me. Now I, Nebuchadnezzar, praise and extol and honor the King of heaven, all of whose works are truth, and his ways justice, and those who walk in pride he is able to put down. Belshazzar's feast. Belshazzar, the king, made a great feast for 1,000 of his lords and drank wine in the presence of the 1,000. While he tasted the wine, Belshazzar gave the command to bring the gold and silver vessels, which his father Nebuchadnezzar had taken from the temple, which had been in Jerusalem, that the king and his lords, his wives, and his concubines might drink from them. Then they brought the gold vessels they had taken from the temple of the house of God, which had been in Jerusalem, and the king and the lords and his wives and his concubines drank from them. They drank wine and praised the gods of gold and silver, bronze and iron, wood and stone. In the same hour, the fingers of a man's hand appeared and wrote opposite the lampstand on the plaster of the wall of the king's palace. And the king saw the part of the hand that wrote. Then the king's countenance changed, and his thoughts troubled him, so that the joints of his hips were loosened and his knees knocked against each other. The king cried aloud to bring in the astrologers, the Chaldeans, and the soothsayers. The king spoke, saying to the wise men of Babylon, whoever reads this writing and tells me its interpretation shall be clothed with purple and have a chain of gold around his neck, and he shall be the third ruler in the kingdom. Now all the king's wise men came, but they could not read the writing or make known to the king its interpretation. Then King Belshazzar was greatly as troubled. His countenance was changed, and his lords were astonished. The queen, because the words of the king and the lords, came to the banquet hall. The queen spoke, saying, O king, live forever. Do not let your thoughts trouble you, nor let your countenance change. There is a man in your kingdom in who is the spirit of the Holy God. And in the days of your father, light and understanding and wisdom, like the wisdom of the gods, were found in him. And King Nebuchadnezzar, your father, the king, made him chief of the magicians, astrologers, Chaldeans, and soothsayers. Inasmuch as an excellent spirit, knowledge, understanding, interpreting dreams, solving crimes, and explaining enigmas were found in this Daniel, whom the king named Belteshazzar. Now let Daniel be called, and he will give the interpretation. The writing on the wall explained. Then Daniel was brought in before the king. The king spoke and said to Daniel, are you that Daniel, who is one of the captives from Judah, whom my father, the king, brought from Judah? I have heard of you that the Spirit of God is in you, and that light and understanding and excellent wisdom are found in you. Now the wise men, the astrologers, have been brought in before me, that they should read his writing and make known to me his interpretation, but they could not give the interpretation of the thing. And I have heard of you that you can give interpretations and explain enigmas. Now, if you can read the writing and make known to me its interpretation, you shall be clothed with purple and have a chain of gold around your neck, and shall be the third ruler in the kingdom. Then Daniel answered and said before the king, let your gifts be for yourself and give your rewards to another. Yet I'll read the writing to the king and make known to him the interpretation. O King, the Most High, God gave Nebuchadnezzar, your father, a kingdom and majesty, glory and honor. And because of the majesty that he gave him, all peoples and nations and languages trembled and feared before him. Whomever he wished, he executed. Whomever he wished, he kept alive. Whomever he wished, he set up. And whomever he wished, he put down. But when his heart was filled up and his spirit was hardened in pride, he was disposed from his kingly throne, and they took his glory from him. Then he was driven from the sons of men. His heart was made like beasts, and his dwelling was with the wild donkeys. They fed him with grass like oxen, and his body was wet with the dew of heaven, till he knew that the Most High God rules in the kingdom of men and appoints over it whomever he chooses. But you, his son Belshazzar, have not humbled your heart, although you knew all this, and you have lifted yourself up against the Lord of heaven. They have brought the vessels of his house before you, and you and your lords, your wives, and your concubines have drunk wine from them, and you have praised the gods of silver and gold, bronze and iron, wood and stone, which do not see or hear or know. And the God who holds your breath in his hand and owns all your ways, you have not glorified. Then the fingers on the hand were sent to him, and the writing was written. And this is the inscription that was written. This is the interpretation of each word. Mene, God has numbered your kingdom and finished it, to kill. You have weighed in the balances and found wanting. Perez, your kingdom has been divided and given to the Medes and Persians. Then Belshazzar gave the command, and they clothed Daniel with purple and put a chain of gold around his neck and made a proclamation concerning him that he should be the third ruler in the kingdom. Belshazzar fell. That very night, Belshazzar, king of the Chaldeans, was slain, and Darius the Mede received the kingdom, being about 62 years old. The plot against Daniel. It pleased Darius to set up the kingdom 120 satraps to be over the whole kingdom, and over these 3 governors, of whom Daniel was one, that the satraps might give account to them, so that the king would suffer no loss. Then this Daniel distinguished himself above the governors and satraps, because an excellent spirit was in him, and the king gave thought to be setting him over the whole realm. So the governors and satraps sought to find some charge against Daniel concerning the kingdom, but they could find no charge or fault, because he was faithful. Nor was there any error or fault found in him. Then these men said, we shall not find any charge against this Daniel unless we find it against him concerning the law of his God. So these governors and satraps thronged before the king and said thus to him, King Darius, live forever. All the governors of the kingdom, the administrators and satraps, the counselors and advisors have consulted together to establish a royal statute and to make a firm decree that whoever petitions any god or man for 30 days except you, O king, shall be cast into the den of lions. Now, O king, establish the decree, sign the writing, so that it cannot be changed according to the law of the Medes and Persians, which does not alter. Therefore, King Darius signed the written decree. All right, so we're going to stop here because we're all out of time. Thank you for listening and being here. Let's see if any more comments before we go. A lot of them. I wish God would do that to the, oh gosh. Hey, Joe, how are you? Joe Van Allen, good to see you. Yes, I heard it in local news. Let's see. Wait, it flips back to the same thing. Hey, Gary, God holds the universe in his palm. Yes. Nice rugs, Mike Smith. I don't know what the rugs are. Yeah, whatever. I wish God would do that to the Democrats. Okay. Praise be, Lynn said. Daniel, yes. All right. So let's see if anybody on Clouthub. Nope. Okay. All right. So A1 and good to see everybody. And if you will, please go ahead and retweet this so that others can, at least, if nothing else, hear the Bible reading. That would be great. Yes, the Lion's Den. God bless you all, Linda said. And we will see you, God willing, tomorrow.